The crisp autumn air in Chicago carried the scent of fallen leaves and distant rain, as Rowan Thompson stared at the cream-colored envelope in his hands. The return address read simply Marcus Hale, New York City, and the elegant script on the front sent a jolt through his chest that he couldn't explain. 10 years had passed since that rainy night when he'd slipped a warm container of spaghetti bolognese to the starving teenager huddled behind his restaurant. And now this invitation to a wedding had arrived out of nowhere, threatening to crack open the carefully constructed walls around his heart. Rowan, now 32 and head chef at one of Chicago's hottest farm-to-table bistros, had built a life that looked perfect from the outside. He had a sleek apartment overlooking the lake, a circle of professional friends who admired his culinary skills, and a reputation for turning simple ingredients into masterpieces. But inside, he felt the weight of unspoken truths. Being gay in a world that still whispered judgments had taught him to keep his relationships fleeting and his emotions guarded. The boy from the alley, Marcus, had been a brief spark of humanity in his otherwise isolated existence, and Rowan had never expected to hear from him again. He tore open the envelope with trembling fingers, pulling out the thick cardstock. "You are cordially invited to the wedding of Marcus Hale and Ethan Rivera," it read, the date set for 3 weeks later in a picturesque vineyard in Napa Valley. A small handwritten note was tucked inside. "Rowan, I never forgot the night you saved my life. Please come. I need you there. Marcus." The words hit like a punch. Saved his life? Rowan sank onto the edge of his couch, memories flooding back uninvited. 10 years earlier, he had been just 22, a line cook scraping by at a tiny Italian place in Wicker Park. One stormy October night, after closing, he had stepped into the alley to dump trash and found a soaked, shivering kid, no older than 16, curled against the brick wall, eyes hollow with hunger. The boy's name was Marcus, and in a broken whisper he admitted his parents had thrown him out the week before when he finally told them he was gay. No money, no plan, just the clothes on his back and the fear that he would never be accepted anywhere. Rowan hadn't thought twice. He went back inside, packed a generous portion of the night's special, added a slice of fresh bread, and handed it over with a quiet, "Eat. You're safe here for a minute." That single meal turned into an hour of conversation under the shelter of the restaurant awning. Marcus talked about the beatings, the slurs, the door slamming shut on his childhood. Rowan listened, recognizing pieces of his own story. His conservative Indiana family who still sent Christmas cards but never asked why he never brought anyone home. By the end of the night, Rowan had slipped Marcus the address of a youth shelter he knew about and $20 from his own thin wallet. "Get some rest. Tomorrow's another day." Marcus had looked at him with something close to awe before disappearing into the rain. They never exchanged numbers. Rowan figured that was the end of it. Life moved on. He climbed the culinary ladder, moved cities in his mind if not always in body, dated cautiously, and learned to smile through the loneliness. Yet here was Marcus, all grown up, getting married to another man, and asking Rowan to witness it. The next morning at the restaurant, Rowan moved through his prep work on autopilot, knife slicing through onions with mechanical precision while his mind replayed the note. His sous chef, Lena, noticed the distraction. "You okay, boss? You look like you saw a ghost." He forced a laugh. "Just old memories. Nothing big." But it was big. That invitation forced him to confront the truth he had buried. Helping Marcus had been the first time Rowan had ever acted on the quiet voice inside that said kindness mattered more than fear. And now Marcus was thriving, engaged, successful enough to send engraved invitations from New York, and Rowan still felt stuck, still hiding pieces of himself from everyone, including his own reflection. He booked the flight to California that afternoon, telling himself it was closure. Deep down, he knew it was something far more terrifying. The weeks leading up to the trip blurred into a haze of menu planning and sleepless nights. He packed a simple navy suit, rehearsed polite conversation in the mirror, and tried not to imagine what Marcus looked like now. On the plane, staring out at the clouds, Rowan whispered to himself, "Just go, smile, and leave. Don't let it reopen old wounds." But the universe, it seemed, had other plans. The Napa Valley sun warmed Rowan's shoulders as he stepped out of the rental car at the vineyard estate, the air thick with the scent of ripening grapes and distant lavender. White tents dotted the hillside, and laughter drifted from the rehearsal dinner setup. He adjusted his tie, heart hammering, scanning the crowd for a face he hadn't seen in a decade. Then he saw him, Marcus, taller now, broad-shouldered in a crisp white shirt, hair neatly styled, laughing with a group of friends. Their eyes met across the lawn, and Marcus's face lit up with pure recognition. He broke away from the group and strode over, pulling Rowan into a tight hug that smelled of citrus cologne and genuine affection. "You came," Marcus said, voice thick with emotion. "God, Rowan, you look exactly the same. I can't believe it." Rowan stepped back, stunned by how much the boy had become a man. Confident, radiant, nothing like the scared kid from the alley. "Marcus, you made it. Look at you." The words felt inadequate. Over the next hour, Marcus introduced him to Ethan, his fiancée, a warm-eyed architect with a gentle smile and an easy laugh. Ethan shook Rowan's hand firmly. "Marcus has told me everything about that night. You're basically family now." The word family landed strangely sweet and painful at once. As the evening unfolded, Marcus pulled Rowan aside near the vineyard rose, the golden light painting everything in soft hues. "I searched for you for years," he confessed. "After the shelter helped me finish high school, I got a scholarship to architecture school in New York. But every time things got hard, the bullying, the doubt, I remembered the guy who gave me pasta and $20 like it was nothing. You showed me that not everyone would throw me away for being gay. That kindness saved me, Rowan. It literally kept me alive." Tears pricked Rowan's eyes. He hadn't realized the weight his small gesture had carried. Marcus continued, voice steady. "My parents still won't speak to me. They sent a card saying they pray for my soul. But Ethan's family welcomed me with open arms. And now I wanted you here because you're part of how I got to stand here today." Rowan swallowed hard, the old shame rising. He had never told his own parents he was gay. He sent them money and polite texts instead, dodging holidays with work excuses. Hearing Marcus speak so openly about his journey made Rowan's silence feel heavier than ever. The conversation shifted when Marcus's aunt approached, her smile tight. "So this is the famous chef who helped my nephew back in the day?" Her tone carried an edge Rowan recognized instantly, the polite mask over disapproval. Marcus stiffened but kept his voice light. "Yes, Aunt Linda. Rowan's the reason I'm standing here." She nodded once and moved on, but the moment lingered. Later that night, alone in his guest cottage, Rowan stared at the ceiling, replaying the day. He had come for closure, but Marcus's gratitude and Ethan's warmth cracked something inside him. For the first time in years, Rowan allowed himself to feel the loneliness he had numbed with long hours and casual dates that never went anywhere. His phone buzzed with a text from Lena back in Chicago. "How's the wedding prep? Don't overthink it, boss." He smiled faintly but couldn't reply. Sleep came slowly, filled with dreams of rainy alleys and open doors. The following morning brought more guests and more memories. Rowan helped in the kitchen, old habits, chopping herbs for the caterers while Marcus and Ethan finalized seating charts. A childhood friend of Ethan's, Alex, a landscape designer with kind hazel eyes and a quiet strength, struck up conversation. "Marcus says you're the guy who started it all. That's pretty cool." Rowan shrugged, deflecting, but Alex didn't push. There was no pressure, just easy talk about favorite Chicago restaurants and the healing power of good food. Rowan felt seen in a way that surprised him. By afternoon, the group gathered for a casual wine tasting, laughter echoing as toasts were made. Marcus raised a glass toward Rowan. "To the people who see you when the world looks away." Eyes turned to him, warm and expectant. Rowan lifted his glass, throat tight, realizing the invitation had done more than stun him. It had begun to pull him toward the light he had avoided for so long. Tension simmered beneath the vineyard's beauty as the wedding weekend accelerated. Rowan watched Marcus navigate last-minute details with the grace of someone who had fought hard for his peace. During a quiet moment in the tasting room, Marcus opened up about the years after Chicago. "I bounced between shelters and odd jobs," he said, swirling a glass of Pinot Noir. Came out to myself fully in college. Dated a few guys who taught me what I deserved. But every milestone, graduation, my first real apartment, I wished I could thank you in person. Rowan listened, chest aching with pride he hadn't earned yet. You did the work, Marcus. I just gave you dinner. Marcus shook his head. No, you gave me hope when I had none. That's everything. Their conversation was interrupted by Ethan's sister, who pulled Marcus away for photos, leaving Rowan alone with his thoughts. Later that afternoon, the arrival of Marcus's estranged parents shifted the atmosphere. They had shown up unannounced, faces tight with disapproval. The rehearsal dinner turned awkward when Marcus's father muttered something about this lifestyle under his breath. Marcus's jaw clenched, but he kept composure. Rowan, standing nearby, felt old anger rise. The same anger he had swallowed when his own father had once said similar things during a rare phone call. Without thinking, Rowan stepped forward, voice calm but firm. Marcus built a life worth celebrating. Maybe focus on that instead of old judgments. The room fell silent. Marcus shot him a grateful look, and Ethan squeezed his fiancée's hand. The parents left early, but the damage lingered in hushed conversations. Rowan retreated to the garden, breathing in the cool night air, wondering why defending a near stranger felt so personal. Alex found him there, offering a glass of water. That was brave. Not everyone would speak up. They talked for hours under the stars, about growing up gay in small towns, the fear of disappointing family, the slow process of choosing yourself. Alex shared his own story of losing a job after coming out and rebuilding stronger. Rowan opened up more than he had in years, admitting the years of half-lives and quiet dates. I thought if I stayed hidden, I'd stay safe, he confessed. Alex's reply was gentle. Safety isn't the same as living. By the time they parted, Rowan felt lighter, the weight of years shifting just a little. The next day brought more preparations and more revelations. Marcus pulled Rowan aside again. My parents' visit reminded me why I needed you here. You showed me strength when I had none. Ethan and I want you at the front row tomorrow, not as a guest, but as the man who helped make this possible. Tears welled in Rowan's eyes. He nodded, unable to speak. As evening fell, a small crisis erupted when the florist delivered the wrong centerpieces. Rowan, ever the problem solver, rallied the kitchen staff and created simple but elegant alternatives using vineyard greens and wildflowers. Marcus laughed when he saw the result. See, you're still saving the day. The group celebrated with an impromptu dance under string lights, and for the first time in forever, Rowan let himself dance without overthinking who was watching. Alex joined him, their movements easy and unpressured. In that moment, surrounded by joy he had helped spark years ago, Rowan felt the first stirrings of possibility. Not just for Marcus, but for himself. The morning of the wedding dawned clear and golden, the vineyard alive with final touches. Rowan stood before the mirror in his cottage, adjusting his tie for the third time, nerves buzzing. Today wasn't just Marcus's day. It was a mirror reflecting everything Rowan had avoided. Down at the ceremony site, guests mingled, and Marcus appeared in a tailored gray suit, radiant beside Ethan. The two men shared a quiet moment before the processional, foreheads touching, whispering promises only they could hear. Rowan watched from the side, heart full and aching at once. When the music swelled and the couple walked down the aisle hand in hand, tears slipped down Rowan's cheeks. Vows spoke of chosen family, resilience, and love that refused to hide. Marcus's voice cracked when he said, I stand here today because one man refused to look away when the world did. Eyes found Rowan in the crowd. He smiled through the emotion. The reception unfolded under twinkling lights, laughter and clinking glasses filling the air. Rowan sat at the family table, Alex beside him, conversation flowing naturally. Midway through dinner, Marcus's parents reappeared, faces drawn. A heated exchange erupted at the edge of the tent. Marcus's father raised his voice. This isn't how we raised you. Marcus stood tall. You raised me to be honest. This is me being honest. Rowan rose without hesitation, placing a steady hand on Marcus's shoulder. He's not asking for your approval anymore. He's asking for peace. Let him have it. The words hung heavy. Marcus's mother softened first, tears in her eyes, and whispered something only her son could hear before they left again. The moment passed, but it bonded the group deeper. Ethan pulled Rowan into a hug. Thank you. You're the brother he always needed. Later, as the band played slow songs, Alex asked Rowan to dance. Under the soft glow, they moved together, no pressure, just presence. You've carried a lot alone, Alex said quietly. Maybe it's time to share the load. Rowan met his gaze, seeing understanding instead of judgment. The night stretched on with stories and toasts, Marcus finding Rowan during a quiet break. I'm getting married because of you, but more than that, I'm happy because of you. Don't go back to Chicago and forget that you deserve the same. The words landed like a promise. As fireworks lit the sky, Rowan felt something shift permanently, the walls he had built cracking in the best way. The celebration continued late, but Rowan slipped away for a moment of solitude on a hillside bench, breathing in the cool air, finally allowing himself to imagine a future without hiding. Dawn after the wedding brought reflection and new beginnings. Rowan packed slowly, the events of the weekend replaying in vivid color. Marcus and Ethan joined him for breakfast on the terrace, the newlyweds glowing. We're honeymooning in Italy next month, Marcus said. But we want you to visit New York soon. No more losing touch. Rowan promised he would, the words feeling real. As they said goodbye, Marcus hugged him fiercely. You didn't just feed a hungry kid that night. You fed my soul. Thank you for coming. Thank you for everything. Rowan drove to the airport with a lighter heart, the California sun warming the road ahead. Back in Chicago, the city felt different, brighter, more possible. At the restaurant, Lena noticed immediately. You came back changed, boss. Spill. He laughed and told her the highlights, leaving out the deeper stirrings. But inside, the change was undeniable. Weeks passed in a blur of new routines. Alex had texted after the wedding, a simple, safe flight, that turned into daily messages and then a planned visit to Chicago. Their first dinner together felt effortless, conversation drifting from food to dreams to the courage it took to live openly. Rowan shared more about his Indiana roots, the letters he still sent home without full honesty. Alex listened without fixing, just present. You helped Marcus claim his truth. Maybe it's time for yours. The words lingered. When Rowan finally called his parents and said the words he had practiced for years, I'm gay, and I'm happy. The silence on the line was long but not angry. His mother cried. His father asked quiet questions. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Marcus called from his honeymoon, cheering the news. See? One meal started a ripple. Your ripple is still going. Challenges came too. An old colleague from New York reached out, revealing he had struggled similarly and had faced betrayal from a mutual friend who outed him at work. Rowan offered support, the conversation reminding him how fragile acceptance could be. Yet each honest moment strengthened him. Alex arrived for a long weekend, and they explored the city together. Museums, lake walks, quiet nights cooking in Rowan's kitchen. No rush, just connection. One evening, standing on the balcony overlooking the lake, Alex turned to him. I'm not asking for everything at once, just that you let yourself feel it. Rowan kissed him then, soft and certain. The first time in years he had chosen closeness without fear. The weeks that followed brought deeper talks, shared laughs, and the slow building of something real. Marcus sent photos from Italy, captioning one, Your kindness is still paying dividends. Proud of you. Rowan smiled, replying with a photo of him and Alex at the pier. Months later, life had settled into a new rhythm. Rowan and Alex were building something steady and honest, weekends split between Chicago and short trips to New York to visit Marcus and Ethan. The four men shared dinners filled with stories, Marcus recounting his latest project, Ethan describing new designs, Rowan testing recipes, Alex sketching garden plans. One crisp evening in Central Park, Marcus pulled Rowan aside. Remember the kid who thought the world ended when his parents shut the door? He's married now, living fully because you showed up. And look at you, out to your family in love, thriving. We both grew up. Rowan hugged him, the bond unbreakable. Back home, Rowan hosted his parents for the first time in years. The conversation was careful but real. His father even asked about Alex. Small steps but forward. The ripple effect continued when Rowan mentored a young line cook at the restaurant who was quietly struggling with identity. He shared the story of the rainy alley without naming names, ending with simple advice. One person believing in you can change everything. Be that person for yourself first. The cook's grateful nod mirrored Marcus's expression from years ago. Rowan realized the invitation hadn't just stunned him. It had awakened him. Life wasn't perfect. Societal whispers still existed. Family healing took time. And doubts crept in on hard days. But he faced them now with support, with Alex's steady presence and Marcus's enduring friendship. On a quiet Sunday morning, watching the sunrise over the lake with Alex's hand in his, Rowan understood the full circle. The boy he fed had grown into a man who reminded him how to feed his own soul. True or false? One small act of kindness from one man to another can truly rewrite two destinies forever.